Hello, welcome to this week's video. It's very exciting. So it's on the passcode to get vitamin A into the living layer of the skin. So this is the key to all skin disease. Kind of cool, right? The key. But it's not as easy as it sounds. So I'm going to give you a really quick explanation and also demonstrations. So personally at the moment I'm using the new retinol one. So this is retinol, which is the alcohol ester of vitamin A. So when we're born, our skin cells at birth are 90% storage esters. So I've got more storage esters in my AVST line, which let's say I'm using level 5 at the moment. But I want to boost, my skin's tolerating this really, really well. And I cocktailed this with peptides. So I'm just choosing one of my peptides. So let's use the peptide toner, for example. So I put a couple of pumps of my 5. In the day, I'm using 1 pump in the morning and 2 pumps at night. And then I'm using a little bit of peptides with it. And then I'm cocktailing that together. And that is my vitamin A treatment. Now, everyone's skin's different. So when you haven't been using vitamin A and you're an adult, particularly, or your skin has been exposed to light, the more sun damage that is present, the more we have to be careful as we introduce vitamin A to the skin. Because we're born with 90% of our cells with vitamin A needs a password to get into the cell because it has receptor sites around all the cell walls. So when you're born with the most amount of receptors at birth. And as you expose that skin from a baby to free radicals, so if you think of pollution in the air, artificial light destroys the vitamin A incredibly fast. So they have done some research. So they found 45 minutes of sun exposure to unprotected skin removes 85% of your vitamin A stores in 45 minutes. Now, the sun has UVA and B, can't even get into a piece of paper of the skin. UVB for burning, A for aging. It's really shallow. But we know artificial light can hit the back of the retina, which means it can go very deep into the skin. And our skin, when it's irradiated with this radiational light, it's very destroying of that vitamin A. So if you just think about your daily life, how much time you might spend in front of a screen, it could be your job, and then you have LED lights in your house. So we are gone are the days that we went to bed with the sunset and got up with the sunset. So our skin's getting emitted with a lot of artificial light, which is destroying that vitamin A. And then we might have a job that's enhancing that time with artificial light. And then the radiation from the light, the sun destroys it. And then we've got pollution in the oxygen, the free radicals. It destroys the vitamin A. So it's really a fight to try and keep that vitamin A in the skin, because if that's the key to your beautiful skin and longevity of the skin, the long healthy lifespan of the skin, and to prevent all your skin diseases from aging to acne to pigmentation and on and on and on, it is all of our goal is to understand a little bit about this. So often you'll see the word retinol and you think, oh, that's vitamin A. But that's the alcohol ester, which makes up about 3% of a cell. There's more than retinol in this little bottle, and I will talk more about it down the track. But the storage esters are more your sunscreen. So storage esters are vitamin A, and there's 5 big ones in this bottle, plus antioxidants. They make up more than 90% of the cell, and they become an SPF of 25 plus if you build them into the lower layers of the skin. And that's the skin's field of function. That means that when the light hits the skin, I personally have 3 layers of protection on. I have the Rad Environ SPF, I have the Oxy 30 plus, and then I have a pollution spritz on top. So that's going to be a big shield as the day goes on. So it's protecting this precious vitamin A underneath so we can try and do its work in fixing the damage in my skin. At nighttime, I don't need that protection because when I'm sleeping, I'm in a dark room and basically my skin's not competing for all that light. So I can allow all my vitamin A's to go in and fix the past. So the day is to prevent new damage and the night is to fix the past. Now, our skin is a waterproofing organ. So when I meet a new client, there's no way I could put them on things like this. Yeah, I have to step them up gently. And the first thing I need to do is protect the outer layers. Like an onion, you need to fix the outer layers and move their way in. Environ, this is medical strength. It should be prescribed only. You shouldn't be playing with it without having someone work with you very closely, because it can sit outside the cell walls and waste its time and you'll just think, meh, didn't really do much. You need to be always tinkering the recipe, changing the approach, and sometimes it needs to be cocktailed with different ingredients to help get that vitamin A to travel down. Our skin being a waterproofing organ on top, the top 5 layers that are about as thick as a piece of paper. So it's a very waterproofing structure. And sometimes the skin has had so much deficiency of that vitamin A over years that now the top layer has become thickened and the lower layer is become very squashed and compressed. And that factory isn't doing its job anymore because there's no vitamin A for the fuel source for the skin cells to correct themselves. So now we're applying thick products, maybe moisturizers, maybe feel good products to make the skin feel good on top, but it's not changing the anatomy of the skin. So what I need to do is I need to take that client and teach them what's going on with their skin first and encouraging them to start making better choices with their daily routine. When they come into clinic, I'm gently helping to increase the turnover of those cells and thickening at the start and improving the barrier function. And as that's improving and I'm programming the right nutrition to get the skin to do that between appointments, then we can start to heal the skin. All we're doing is giving the skin the right environment and the right nutrition, and the body, because the skin's such a complex, intelligent organ, it heals itself. That's the good news. But it hits plateaus very easily. So there's a paradox with vitamin A. When you start using it, your skin will become healthier, thus harder for it to get into the next layer. So you've got the waterproofing epidermis, it's a very thin layer of skin. And then you've got the living layer, the dermis, which is where the skin is dividing from. That's also where the life happens. It's a cellular communicational network. It's fascinating. And because all those cells communicate with each other, and if they have the right nutrition, they can fight and protect and heal and basically make your skin look amazing and age very gracefully. We know skin cancer cannot live in a vitamin A dense tissue, so there is so many reasons why we want to repair these deficiencies in the cell. When you chase health, the skin will naturally improve. But because the skin, the more you use vitamin A, the healthier the skin will get. It's very easy for it to get trapped outside the walls and not get in through those receptor sites. Remember how we talked about the skin cells have little receptors like lock and keys. So we need to be constantly mimicking how you are feeding it, how you're applying your vitamin A, what levels you're using, what you're pairing it with, and then how we treat it. It doesn't mean you have to do all. It just means we have to be making intelligent decisions and tailoring it your timeline and budget, because that was where you'll see results. You're not going to see results if you just do the same thing, or if you skip levels and you just start using quite aggressive treatments on the skin or high levels. You mightn't be seeing that beautiful glowing hydrated tissue. You might be just getting irritation. Because if there's too much active ingredient sitting outside the cell walls, you're going to get red, swollen and flaky, which is okay. A retinoid reaction is okay, but you don't want to live in it. You don't have to torture your skin to get young, healthy skin. That's the good news. We have to work intelligently and understand that all of our skin has a history, and our skin is a sensory system that is actually reacting to your blood. So your hormones, your gut, your internal and external factors, the skin's constantly reacting, responding to. So This is why I will always be changing what you're doing. Like fitness, if you do the exact same thing all the time, you might get initial results, but you'll plateau out. So how we treat it, how I program it, how you apply it, it needs to be adjusted. And that's where you're going to see results. Doesn't mean you're doing more, it just means you're being more intelligent with seeing that change. Because remember, every day our free radical exposure is just constantly being blasted onto the skin. And all of us, I don't know many that started using Environ when they were a little child. So we really have to work at it. This was really interesting that as someone said, if you're not rolling, you're not using Environ. So Environ patented home rolling. A lot of companies have mimicked it, but Environ know exactly how many needles to place on there, the depth, the sharpness, what it's made of. It's very intelligently designed. They do it the best. So when you're rolling, that's also where you're going to see a lot more penetration of your vitamin A. So when you're not rolling, your skin, you don't want to start there, obviously, if you're a new client, but once you're going to get used to the products, you want to be getting those rolling happening, because when you roll, you can get 100% product penetration. When you're not rolling, it's 6. It's not a lot. So you're really wasting a lot of those products. So that's why you're going to hear me a lot talk about how we tweak it and change and not do the same thing. All right. So that's a little bit. I'll try and do more information on this coming week. Hope you have a wonderful Sunday, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.